has actually been, this is 2 o'clock, and I'm sure we've had series of activities today. So I'd like to ask how your day has actually gone so far and what you expect this session to be like. The next few minutes, we are going to have a speaker, Grace Kalu, our mentor, speak to us. And I'd like to ask what your expectations are from how your day has gone and what your expectations are for the next few minutes you'll be speaking, we'll be meeting. So let's us have Adedeji Adesina address us, please. Thank you. Hello, Adedeji, are you with us? Hello. Okay, if Adedeji is not with us, let's have Grace Effiong address us, please.
Sorry, good afternoon. My name is Aideji Additional.
Okay.
I'm sorry I haven't responded. It's because I'm actually in the place I couldn't talk, so I had to step outside. That's why I sent messages.
Okay. So
yes, you asked me how my day was. It's been good so far. At least with many, well, not tasks for this weekend. I wonder why, but one was just sent in this afternoon. But at least it's been a good weekend so far. And my expectations for this program is to know how to breeze through law school with, with style and ease, as everybody has been. You get, and to also learn from the Grace Kalu, obviously. We all know who she is, the kind of person that she is. So I've met her one-on-one, and obviously hearing from her once again is also something that I've been looking forward to. So really glad for this opportunity.
Okay, that's very beautiful, Adedeji. Thank you so much. We'd have one other person speak, and hopefully female too. Grace Effiong, please can you address us on how your day has been and your expectations for the few minutes we'll be meeting? Hello, Grace.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So, my day has been pretty okay. I would say I'm a bit unmotivated today, but we'll get through it. And I don't know, I guess I'm expecting to be a little bit motivated through this call. So, yeah, that's just it.
Some of us have had contacts with her before now. Some of us have met her one-on-one. Some of us are actually her mentees. And I'd like you to have maybe a pen, a paper beside you, or be ready to send in your questions, any questions you may have in the course of the session. Write them down somewhere. You could write them in the chat box. And at the end of the session we would get to answer those questions. Yes, we'd get to ask her those questions and have her answer them. Or if you'd like to ask her on your own, that's very fine. So let us make welcome our mentor, Grace Kalu Esquire, the mentor per excellence. Thank you so much, Mar, for joining us and having us here.
Thank you very much, Mfoni Sofo.
Let's welcome a mentor. Let's welcome a mentor. I need to see your comments on the chat box and chat room. and your reactions. That's know that we have people here. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mar.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma, for the wonderful coordination so far. I would like to confirm that you can hear and see me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so good afternoon, sirs. Good afternoon, Mars. You're welcome to this session. So this afternoon, I'll be speaking to us on demystifying law school, demystifying law school. Now, at the end of this session, it is my expectation that law school will be made basic, law school will be made simple, and law school will be made easy for you. You would see possibilities and you would see the pathway, clear pathways towards excellence on specific things you can do to excel in the Nigerian law school. So I'll start with my experience. When I was an undergraduate, I heard a lot of things about law school. I'm sure some of us have heard similar things, and I would just like us to put in what the scary things that you've heard about law school in the chat box. So just send in your comments on what you've heard, what people have told you, things that they've said to you about law school. So while I'm waiting for our responses, I'll just go ahead to share mine. So I learned then when I was in university, I heard people talk about the fact that law school is stressful. Law school is hard, that you're going to study, you would have a lot of things to read in between a very short time, and you would not be able to cover up. And people talked about how that your least grade is what is being used to grade you. So let's say it doesn't matter the number of A's you have, if you just have just one score that would affect that grade that you have, then everything has scattered. A lot of people said things. So I'm looking at for our comments. Someone said, I heard that law school is very difficult to pass. Someone said they've heard that law school is draining. Okay, let's keep our comments in. And also heard things like that law school, you can just get depressed. I mean, you can just kill yourself. A lot of students have been depressed, they've been overwhelmed. And then when people talk about the almighty bar finals, you hear them say, oh, bar finals is hard, bar finals is tough, bar finals is difficult. Now, this evening, or this afternoon rather, one clear thing I want to do for us here is to demystify law school. So we would consider everything that people have ever said, everything that has been heard and said about law school. This session would give you perspective and give you light and give you an understanding, something that you can actually run with. What is actually the real and true state of things? So are we ready this afternoon? The moderator told us you get your pens, your writing materials, and ensure that you take note of the things that are being said in this session, because it will be greatly beneficial to you. Now, what does it mean to demystify something? To demystify something means to make a difficult subject clear, to make it easier to understand. Like I mentioned earlier, this afternoon, I'll be making law school easier to understand. I'll be making it basic. I'll be making it common. I'll be making it simple. And, I remember how that a lot of people have said to me that, oh, Barrister Grace, why do you make law school look like it's very easy? Tell us the truth. Don't deceive the students. Tell them that this is what they will face. And one thing I usually would tell them is that, you see, the fact that you had draining experiences and you had a very negative experience does not mean that that's the reality. So while you are entitled to your own opinion of how things are tough, difficult, and not proper, I am also entitled to mine based on my own experiences. In the university, when I was in university, I heard stories, and more so, we had, as at the time I went to the law school, we didn't have up to five, I think about just 5 or 6 people in the history of my university's existence had ever made a first class in law school. So I was going into this environment, seeing it as a very difficult terrain, like, this place is very tough. I mean, if only 6 people have made a first class from this university in law school from inception, then what really is going on in this place. But I went in with a different mindset. I went in with mindsets that helped me succeed, and not just personally, mindset which by God's grace I have distilled these experiences into things that are transferable. I run a mentorship institution for law school students, NLS Mindcheck. And from inception, from 2020 to date, NLS Mindcheck has produced 39 first-class students, first-hand, and award winners. So this means that everything I'm telling you this afternoon has been substantiated by results, and you can as well take these words to the bank, be confident that you would receive answers and you would pattern your life in the law school against everything I would say this afternoon, and you would come back with great success. Right, so let's get right in. I'm still looking through our comments. Let me see. Okay, so we just had those two views. Now, I'm going to address 6 things this afternoon, 6 core areas which people have found difficult, which mindsets that have, clouded people's minds against their success in law school. And these 6 things are as follows. Number 1, law school is difficult. Number 2, the courses are broad and are hard to understand. Number 3, you are graded with your least grade. Number 4, it is not possible to manage your time in law school. Number 5, you can easily get depressed and overwhelmed. And number 6, bar finals is hard. Bar finals is hard. So I'll go over the things I would address again. Number 1, law school is difficult. The courses are broad and hard to understand. You are graded with your least grade. Time management is not possible. And you can easily get depressed and overwhelmed. Then bar finals is hard. Someone said the stories that, okay, you said you've heard a lot of stories about in law school being overwhelming and the fact that, okay, you have just only one chance to pass the bar finals. All right, so let me get right to addressing these different things. Number 1, law school is difficult. This is like the foremost one. You would always hear it. You would always hear law school is difficult. Now, one of the things I wrote here is that saying that law school is difficult is living on borrowed experiences of negative seniors. I'll say that again. Saying that law school is difficult is living on borrowed experiences of negative seniors. I'll add that might not even be true. Now, for you to get to a point where you see that something is difficult, one would assume that you've been there, you've gone through the system, and you've faced it, and you now come out and say, oh, this is difficult, I can't pass. But if at the inception you are going into law school with the mindset that it is difficult, then there is a problem. Like I mentioned earlier, we've had seniors, you have people that, might have graduated and have gone through law school. Maybe they had difficult experiences and they'll come and tell you, oh, this place is tough, this place is hard, this place is difficult. That does not change the fact that it is their own experience that they are trying to impose on you. It is their own experience they are trying to impose on you, and it might not even be true. It is not even true. Because what is truth? Truth is very, very subjective in some instances. What I say is true might be different from what another person says is true. So I might come here and tell you law school is easy. And truth be told, I'm saying it from the standpoint of my own experiences. Same with the person who said it is difficult. So if you're supposed to make up your mind to have a particular truth guide your journey through law school, then why not make it the truth of the fact that law school is easy? Now, you can only assess the difficulty of something based on the plane that you view it from. I often share this example, how that some of us, when we were in primary school, writing the common entrance exams was like the toughest thing, the hardest thing to ever face in life. So if someone asked you at that time, what do you think about common entrance? You would say, this exam is very hard, difficult. Same with, you now wrote the exams, you passed, you entered secondary school, and then you now start viewing WAEC, that's the West African Senior Certificate exams, as something that is very tough and very difficult. But then you get to that stage and you write it and you pass. Then you now be encumbered by the feelings of failure towards JAM. You say that, oh, writing your UTME is very tough, it's difficult. Same thing with post-UTME. But now, the truth of the matter is that you went through these different phases and you passed. So law school is not different. Refuse to make the difficult and hard reality of other people your own. Refuse to accept it. Ascend and view law school from a standpoint of victory. View it from a standpoint of the fact that, oh, whatever they throw at you in this system, you can surmount. You have the victory and you can excel. law school is actually not difficult. You have the capacity to handle it. And I took note of the fact that you're only asked to resume in law school when you are done with your 5 years of study in the university. And it is taken for granted that if you go through this training, by the time you get to law school, your capacity has been stretched, enlarged, and able to assimilate whatever the system brings to you. Imagine if you were asked to resume at law school immediately after first semester or second semester of 100 level. I mean, that cannot be, that's not feasible and that's not possible. So whenever if now you found yourself in law school, if you're not yet there, you'd be going there. One thing you should tell yourself is, this thing is not difficult. This institution is not difficult. I am going here and I'm coming back with great victories. And when you say these things to yourself, it forms a frame of thought and a pattern through which you see every information you receive from. When I went to the law school, because I already had the mindset that, oh, it's not difficult. So anything I heard, I usually would see it through the mindset that it's not hard, it's not difficult. So whenever I face a topic that looked hard or difficult, I'll tell myself that, oh, I'll stay through this thing. There is definitely an answer. I'll come out with an answer and I would excel. So to wrap up this point, the truth here is law school is not difficult at all. You can go through it, you can pass. A lot of people have gone through it, they've come out with great success, great victories, and the same can be your own experience. Now, number 2, the second thing I said I would address is the courses are broad and difficult to understand. The courses are broad and difficult to understand. Now, there are 5 courses in the Nigerian law school. We have property law practice, civil litigation, criminal litigation, professional ethics and skills, and corporate law practice. You know, when I told someone that we usually have 1 class per day, that's 1 course per day, they asked me, you mean that you stay in class from morning till night only to learn one thing? And I said, yes. And, you know, they will now run off saying, oh, law school is very broad. You have a lot of things to cover. Now, the truth is actually that you have a lot of things to cover in law school. But the corresponding truth is that you have the capacity to cover everything. You have the capacity to assimilate everything. The courses are broad, but yes, they can be understood. Everything about the course content was written by someone. So there are people that wrote the textbooks, there are people that wrote the learning materials. It is lecturers that are teaching this course. So that means it can be understood. So don't see it as something that is too broad that you cannot understand. Rather, see it as something that you can actually understand and excel through it and come out victorious. Now, when I was in law school, one of the things that I employed to have easy understanding was what I would call having regular contact with my courses. Having regular contact with my courses. What that meant was familiarizing myself with the topics, the outline, the lesson objectives. You know that thing that at the beginning of every lesson, they'll tell you, at the end of this lesson, students should be able to. At the end of this lesson, students should be able to. Now, at the end of every lesson, there is an expectation that you should understand certain things. So whenever you set out to read and study your course materials, one of the things that should run through your mind is, at the end of reading this thing, at the end of having an interaction with this course, have I actually fulfilled the lesson objectives? That's very important. It's to ask questions. Now, you now ask yourself, so if you have areas that are naughty, areas that are hard, areas that are difficult to comprehend, your lecturers are actually approachable. I know some people might have come from universities where you dare not go to your lecturers and ask questions, but you can actually ask your lecturers. You can ask questions in class. You can send them emails to clarify certain things. You can meet them after lecture hours and ask that they, kindly clarify some things for you. You can ask your colleagues, those colleagues that look like, oh, they understood when the lectures were going on. You can actually meet up with them and ask, and you would get clarity. So don't just settle in the fact that, oh, something is hard, difficult, I can't understand it. No. Ask questions, seek to understand, take deliberate steps to understand this course, to understand what you are being taught. And you would be so amazed that everything that looks difficult, you would receive clarity. And everything that looks hard, you would receive understanding. and you would understand and assimilate everything. And additionally, I want to say here that what makes for understanding is not just reading. A lot of students just open their books and they start reading, and you'd hear things like, oh, whenever I read, I don't assimilate, or I don't see myself to have the capacity to read for long hours. No, there is something that makes for understanding. I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, and one of the places I run to for answers, for clarity on how things should go is the Bible. The Bible says something that there is a spirit in man, and it's the breath of the Almighty that gives him understanding. So understanding that makes me know that, oh, if I have an encounter with this course and I don't understand anything, I can reach out to the spirit in me and bring out the understanding from there. I would explain. There were times where I deliberately prayed to understand my courses. So I would write out the topics that were very difficult for me at that time. And I'll say, I remember then I'll say shares, debentures, corporate restructuring, bonds, winding up. I understand you in the name of Jesus. And I built a habit around praying for my topics this way. So one thing that happened personally to me was that I realized that I started understanding things better. And there was this course too that we did at the time, property law practice. And the topic was billing, remunerations. And we had to do like a lot of calculations in that topic. And I was not understanding the formulas. It didn't just make sense. And I needed to answer the question and submit the task that was assigned to us. And I had less than 20 minutes to get this done. When I realized that, oh, my brain seemed as though it was not working, I just put my head down and I started praying. I was like, Lord, please help me understand this topic. Help me provide this answer, and help me break it down in ways that I can even teach my colleagues. Immediately I did that, understanding came, and I could understand. I solved the mathematics. I ran to my group meeting. I was teaching my colleagues. So don't ever underestimate the ability to lean in for divine help and divine strength when you are faced with topics that look broad, such that you can't understand it. So at this juncture, I would like to recommend some resources for us. There are audio resources that are on Telegram. There is a Telegram channel called the Supernatural Student Telegram channel. So you can get onto that Telegram channel and look for this audio, skill in understanding, exploding understanding, and more understanding. These 3 audio resources would really help you know how to understand things, so that when you are met with broad things, the response that you'd have would be that, oh, I have the ability and the capacity to understand. So I'll move to the next point. The next point is where we talked about grading you with your least grade. Now, I think that this is one of the foremost nightmares that students have. You know, when they think of the fact that it's my least grade that I'll be graded with, it's my least grade that will determine what I graduate with. So that statement, that incident produces 2 sets of people. Now, the first set of people that it produces are people that are scared. They're like, oh, if I'm being graded with my least grade, that means I can have 4 A's, and then one nonsense course will just make me have maybe a C, and then I'll graduate the second class lower. That's a response. But that's not the right response. Because when I heard that, oh, you are graded with your least grade, one thing I said to myself was that, oh, that means I will make up my mind to have at least 90 in all my courses. So I made up my mind that I was going to have 90 in all of my courses. If my least grade is a 90, I mean, what does that mean? It means you would have a first class. So at the end of the day, you would realize that it is not that information of being graded with your list that really matters, but what you do with it. So that information can push you into fear, into thinking that, oh, you would fail, or one course would make you not have a first class. Or that information can strengthen your heart to see to it that, oh, you can have all A's. So you start saying things like, I can have all A's in this law school. I can make an A in all my courses. And if you are like me that took it a step further, you can tell yourself, I can be the best in this course, and I'll win the award for being the best in this course. So tell yourself that the problem is not the grading system. I know a lot of people have tried to fight, oh, that Nigerian law school grading system is unjust and all of that and all of that. No, if they get to review the grading system, fine. But if not, make up your mind that it is not a problem. If not, what would happen is that you will go through law school, finish, but then you just be telling people that the reason you didn't have a first class was because of the grading system. But then now at this juncture, you can make up your mind to see that I will have a first class. I will score 100 over 100 in this course. I will score 90. A is 70. I don't know if it's 75 now, but whatever it is, wherever the limit is being put, you can excel. You can know the answer to all of your questions. So instead of making the grading system look as though it's a problem, see it as a factor that will make you determine what your base will be. So determine that the base of your scores will be 90, the base of your score will be 100, the base of your score will be 80, the base of your score will be whatever the A grade is. This leads me to talk about an interesting story. I had a study group when I was in the law school, and when we were trying to think of the name to give to this study group, my colleague came and said, let's call this group 70 or 75, depending on what A was at the time. And I asked, oh, why are we calling the group 75? He said that, oh, because A starts from 70 or 75. And so that's indicative of the fact that we should all have A's in this group. So when I saw that, I said, wow, if you are looking to name this group based on what A is, then let's push it up. There will be no harm to push it up. So I now made the recommendation that the name of this our study group will be group 90. So now that you've gotten the revelation, the name of your own study group can be group 100. I mean, you can score 100 or group 120, 120%. It's very fine. So for me now, those pictures of excellence defined what happened around me, defined the choices that I made. So make up your mind that these pictures of excellence, pictures of success will stay with you, and you would direct your environment that same way. Now, I'll move to the next point. If you can still hear me, I'll just like to get your feedback, your responses in the chat box. So just make a comment so I'll know that everyone is listening and you are part of this session. All right, thank you. Okay, so the next thing is time management is not possible. Now, because of the volume of things that is being done or taught in the law school, a lot of people feel like it's not possible for them to manage their time. That before you close your eyes and open it, I mean, time is gone and bar finance will be staring at you in the face. Now, when I was in the law school, I held 3 leadership positions. I was the vice president of class 1. I was the subgroup leader in my group. And then I was the lead counsel during the mock trials. I was the lead counsel. So I had different activities that were going on while I was in law school, different activities I had to give my time and attention to. So you might be here and you've already been given some responsibilities. Maybe you are the group leader, you are the subgroup leader. Don't worry, there is a way out of it. The first thing you need to accept is that this is how the system is. And the next thing would be to look out for wisdom on how to cover everything that you have before you. Now, during the lecture periods in law school, I usually would wake up at 5. Okay, let me start from when I would sleep. So I'll sleep at 1 a.m. most of the times, and I woke up by 5. Those are like 4 hours of sleep that were very impactful and productive. There are times that I slept for longer hours, maybe because I needed to rest properly. So during the lecture period, I had like 6 interactions with all my topics. 6 interactions with all my topics. So what that means is that for every topic we're going to learn, I had interactions with those topics 6 times. I use the word interactions on purpose so that you would understand that reading is not just about sitting down in your room to read by yourself. So for every topic that we had to learn, first of all, I would solve it as a task. I would prepare the task as I was a subgroup leader. That was the first one. And then I'll go to the group meeting where that topic will be discussed. From the group meeting, I would read that topic by myself, maybe for an hour, from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. I'll read through that. That's the third one. When I wake up in the morning, I had study discussion with my friends. That's group 90. at 6 a.m. I think it was 6 or 6:30. Can't remember now. It's been 5 or 6 years. Then after then, I would go to class. So that was my fifth interaction. I'll go to class. And then after class, maybe for 1 hour, I'll just look through what I was taught. So I built a routine around these activities. And that made me, I was still able to attend to fellowship meetings and devote time when mock trials had to, get my attention. And I did all these things knowing that every little effort would count to the end. I built a system that ensured that every day I was having interactions and reading my books and studying, such that when it was time for externship, when we're no longer in the class, one thing I did was to prepare an externship timetable. So the externship timetable was for 3 months of the externship period, and the timetable was properly accounted for. Now, students have this habit when they want to prepare timetable, they'll just say, oh, on Monday, I'll read criminal litigation, Tuesday, I'll read civil litigation, Wednesday, I'll read corporate law. But you'd realize that in law school, if you do it that way, you might not know how much of information. One thing I did was to know the topics. So every topic would have an encounter with or interaction with in law school. I brought it out. And then I assigned every single topic. I assigned every single topic under the days I want and dates, specific dates that I wanted to read them. Now, putting this timetable together took me about, I think it took me hours, like maybe 3 hours or thereabouts, but that's what built a solid foundation for me to excel during the externship. Because during the externship, I had a goal of reading through my courses at least 2 times, and that's exactly what I did. So that gave me an idea. So let's say this is August, and I want to sit down to prepare my externship timetable. I will sit down and think, okay, on the 20th of September, what will I be reading on the 20th of September? So I would write down that topic for that 20th of September. So the summary of this is, if you want to achieve proper time management in law school, one, you would get ready to live a regimented life and build a system that would ensure that you account for your time. So that means during your study periods, you are going to class, you are reading, just ensure that you have these times allotted for everything, so that when you buy time for yourself, you can also have leisure times and times of rest. That way you won't feel pressured. That way you won't feel overwhelmed. When it was time for mock trials for me, that experience of preparing and being a part of the mock trials took my time, and I was able to devote time to it. I just understood that, that was for a period. But at the end of the day, when the results came out, I had the first class and I was the best student in criminal litigation. So that just means that the time I dedicated towards the mock trials was very beneficial and helpful for me. So it is not true that everything in law school is so much that you can't put it into a timetable and live by it. It is actually possible to get detailed with how you want to run your schedules and time in law school and then come out successful. So for this too, I would recommend another resource on the Telegram channel I spoke about, the Supernatural Student, and that is the resource titled Building Discipline for Your Success. Building Discipline for Your Success. So when you get on the Telegram channel, you go to the audio segment and you'll find the resource Building Discipline for Your Success. Now, the fifth one is, you can easily get depressed or overwhelmed. We are addressing things, that mindsets and myths that people have handed down over the years, that you can easily get depressed or overwhelmed. Now, one thing I usually tell my mentees in NLS Mindcheck is that law school system already, let's take it for granted that the system is built to stress, the system is built to overwhelm, the system is built to throw certain things at you, the system is built to just ensure that you are just under some shackles that you can't break out from. Imagine that the system is built to throw depressive thoughts at you and throw thoughts of inadequacy. Because if that one happens when you start writing snap tests and you look like everything you've read does not make sense. I remember looking at the snap test sheet in my time, and I saw my score, 10 over 100. 10 over 100, Grace Carly Demento. That was my score. But then, because of what I had put inside of me, I was not easily depressed. I was not easily overwhelmed. So the question I want to ask you now is, what have you put inside of you to withstand the pressure? What have you put inside of you to withstand the pressure? For me, when I went through my law school journey and I came in contact with the resources, I think I had one resource, the Spirit of Excellence, and Pastor Tara was speaking in that message about what makes for excellence. I just knew I had my answer. So almost every day, I'll sit down with the message, I'll just be listening to it, and I'll just make up my mind that this law school, I'm excelling. The strength of God is in me, is bearing me up. I am not overwhelmed, I'm not given to stress, I'm not given to depression. When those words formed a strong wall of defense in me, then I knew that whatever the system threw at me, I could take in and I could come out victorious. So how do you overcome these feelings of stress, depression, overwhelming thoughts? Feed on the messages on the Supernatural Student platform. Two things I want to say: feed on those messages. Now, the messages are there are some audio resources that are specifically tailored to help you excel in your academics. Some of the titles which I remember now are Go For It. Go For It was a live session with my mentees in 2022. So there is Go For It, there is Conquering This Battle, there is Outrunning the Chariots of the Brilliant, Exploding Understanding, Skill in Understanding, More Understanding, Superior Intelligence, The Answer of Peace, Solving Presentation Skills Problem for Exam Success, Conquering New Academic Environments, Building Discipline for Your Success. Lots and lots of messages, audios that some of these are just 30 minutes, some 15 minutes, 20 minutes, that you can daily feed on, such that when the system throws stress at you, you would answer by saying, oh, I have the strength of God. I cannot be overwhelmed. I cannot be weary. So feed on these resources and feed on positive things only. Don't give yourself to news of failure. Now is not the time to maybe get on Twitter and you'll be laughing with memes that people have used to say that, oh, law school is hard, difficult. This is not the time to identify with those things. You would create your own system of success, of positive outlook, by feeding on resources that help you. Because see, law school is not just a physical journey. There is also the mental part of it. That's why that's the mind part of it. That's why NLS Mind Check exists, to help people's mindset through the journey. If it were just to be about the physical things, then you will not have people say things, have challenges around depression, have challenges around thinking that they can excel. But it's very important that your mind, because the Bible says that out of your heart, guard your heart with all diligence. Out of it flows the issues of life. So the things that come out of your mind can actually affect the results that you see in your environment. So it is actually better to bring a solution for yourself by constantly feeding on things that can help you and things that can make you excel in the law school. The second thing is be a part of NLS Mindcheck mentorship. Now, for 2 years, 3-4 years now, I've had different sets of mentees, go through the law school. And one thing they tell me is, mentor, thank you so much for NLS Mindcheck. I don't know how I would have gone through law school without NLS Mindcheck. NLS Mindcheck saved me from depression. NLS Mindcheck was just there guiding me through the journey. And this is an exclusive mentorship that will take you through a process, through a journey of knowing that your heart and your mind can be in a good place and you would excel. Countless times I've had students, 2 times now, I've had students that came to me, they were my mentees, and they told me that, oh, their only desire was to have a pass grade. It's bad enough that you're not desiring a first class, you're not desiring a second class upper, you're not desiring a second class lower, you just want to pass, like have a pass grade. But then 2 of them, they ended up graduating with a second class upper, and they could not even believe their result. But then it is because of what was built in them. I remember one of my mentees telling me, said, Kai, thank you so much, mentor. You've built in me something that can never collapse. I've had people come out of the mentorship and they are stronger to even face the society to go in. So it's not just a mentorship that would hold your hand through law school. It's a mentorship that would guide you through life as you advance. So take advantage of it. The mentorship session for this set, well, registration had closed, but I think I'll just reopen it for this week. so that you can be a part of it if you want to be a part of the mentorship. It's registered. You get the details on WhatsApp or later on shared with you in this chat space. So register and be a part of it. It's an exclusive access. It's a 20-week mentorship. So a mentorship where for 20 weeks constantly, their activities geared towards helping your mindset, helping you be in that place where you are determined to succeed and where you can have this constant access to words that would uplift you. So be a part of it. Don't miss the opportunity to be a part of the mentorship in this cohort. And then the last thing, the final thing that I want to say before I take questions is the mindset that bar finals is hard. So how many of you have heard that bar finals is hard? Let me see our responses. So you've heard that bar finals is hard. Can I see your response in the comment section? Okay. So I think I want to assume that everyone here has learned the truth already. Okay, someone has agreed that they've heard it. So people will tell you bar finals is hard. Bar finals is hard. But then, they have said to you, bar finals is hard. But verily, verily, let me speak like Jesus. I say unto you, bar finals is the simplest exams you will ever write. When I went through the bar finals questions, one of the things that I kept saying to myself is, if I passed 5 years of law exams in the university, then I can pass bar finals. There's nothing there. In fact, if you look through the past questions, you will realize that the caliber of questions that are being asked in bar finals, they are simpler than the questions that you had to answer at the undergraduate level. It's actually simpler and easier. Undergraduate level, you hear things like, Lord Denning said this. What's it called? Write a treatise or response to this sentence. Funny things like that, or stimulate and titivate an argument on the foregoing. A lot of things, and then you now have to start talking about quoting dictums, quoting decisions, citing cases, and talking about the facts of the cases, decisions, and all that. So it does look like there's a whole lot of things. But the truth is, bar finals is actually the simplest exam you can ever write. There is a pattern of questions. You already know the pattern of questions that are being set. There are questions that may require you to list. There are questions that may require you to comment on a particular scenario. The questions might be broad. They might be broad quite all right, but it's simple. The system that they use to ask questions is actually simple. They are drafts. As long as you learn your draft and know it, when you enter the exam, just reproduce the draft. So the system of questions in law school is actually straightforward and easy to understand, assimilate, and excel, as opposed to a system where you would have to write an essay in like 4 pages and try to convince the lecturer on what your opinion is. But when it comes to bar finals, everything is already straightforward. It's very simple. It's very easy. The other thing that will make bar finals simple for you is when you go through all these other things I mentioned. Because when you enter the bar exams, you are going to answer questions. And the questions you are going to answer are questions that on topics that you understand. So which is why taking the journey of understanding very deliberately is something that would help you prepare towards the law school. That is why having regular interactions with your course is one thing that would set you up for success when the bar finals is near. That is why managing your time and ensuring that every time counts is one thing that would help you and ensure that you are able to cover all your course content in good time. So just have it at the back of your mind that this thing is easy. It's simple. There is no new system of setting questions that will be brought out now at this juncture to surprise anybody. The system is simple, it's clear. And in law school, then they don't really expect that you give verbose answers, like an answer that will take like 5 pages. No, it's not necessary, because questions are just straight to the point and they are just required to answer it and mention your authorities. In law school, nobody really would be invested in whether you are giving the facts of the case or not. So as long as you just know that this principle is inside this case, then you are good to go. Unlike the university where you have to know the case, you know the ruling of the court, you know a section, you know what it contains. In law school, it is your knowledge that is being tested, your procedural knowledge, your ability to know that, oh, this is where I can find this thing. So they may not necessarily ask you for verbose details, So with this in mind, just going through your law school journey, knowing that everything is easy, at the end, you will face the bar exams, not the almighty bar finals. The bar finals that you've been going through the journey from day one to, go and show it what you have, what has been built inside of you. And like I say, if you go through this law school properly, paying attention to a healthy mindset, paying attention to, giving yourself to things that help you and not things that dampen your spirit. And at the end of the day, you can truly say that something has been built in you that can never collapse. So thank you very much for listening in. I believe that at the end of this session, let me speak like some debaters, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that law school is not a mystery and it's something that you can easily understand, you can easily assimilate, and you can easily excel in. Thank you very much. I think I'll take questions now. Over to you, our moderator.
Oh, thank you so much, the mentor, Grace Kalu. I hope we had a wonderful session. And I'm expecting that we have questions already. So if you have questions, you could indicate, or you could as well drop them in the chat box. So do we have questions, please? Hello. Yes, I'm saying, Adeniji says, thank you so much, ma'am. God bless you real good, ma'am. Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. We appreciate you for that wonderful time. And this is where we get to ask questions and get first-hand answers, not just hearsay. My mentor said, we have the mentor here of the NLS Mind Check. So if you have questions, do well to indicate, and we'd have her answer your questions, please. I do not want to assume that we do not have people following us. Or do we assume that everybody understands what was discussed today and we do not have questions to ask? Or we're waiting for the first man to ask a question? Okay, Bolanle, I've seen your hands. You could ask your questions.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the session. My question is on something that she said. She mentioned that in NLS, it's important for you to understand that you would have a regimented lifestyle and everything. You have to be very disciplined. And I understand that. But I want to know what exactly you did in order to ensure that the goals that you set up for yourself, you achieved them, that you were actually disciplined, that you stuck to your externship timetable. When it was time to read, you got up, you read. When it was time to sleep, you went to sleep, that kind of thing. So what helped you to actually build that regimented lifestyle and, develop that discipline for yourself? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
ma'am.
So let me take the question. Now, building discipline for your success, I would recommend that resource again. I think someone asked for the link to the Telegram channel. I'll just drop it in the chat box. But now, when you understand that you don't have an option of coming back to law school, you won't be here twice. You will just be here once, and that will be it. So go through law school. I used to say this thing: go through law school knowing that you will not be here 2 times, and everything you want to achieve, just set your heart and achieve it. So one of the things that helps too is the system of accountability. So I had a friend that would usually call me then. So she had my externship timetable. So she would reach out, check in, and said, okay, you said you would read this topic today. How is that going? So being in a system of accountability where you talk to somebody about the goals you set for yourself. And I think for me, okay, please let's have our mics muted. So I didn't set outrageous goals for myself. That was why during the lecture periods, I just went with the flow. So everything I did was just normal, like for me. It was really normal for me. It was normal. It was normal that I'll wake up and I'll discuss with my friends for 1 hour. I think it was 1 hour or 30 minutes about what we will learn that day. It was normal that I'll go to class. It was normal that after I come back from class, I would review my work maybe for 1 hour, sometimes 45 minutes. It was normal to me that I would go for group meetings. A lot of people despise group meetings. I don't really advise that you do. It was just normal. It was like my life. It was my life. So I just saw it as a part and parcel of me. So other than that, I think for one of the things we do for our mentees is that they have, you have a system where you are encouraged to be accountable. You submit your timetable and then someone gets to check in on you. So that helps too for you to ensure that you are constantly, in line and in tune with your goals. Have I answered your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ma. I think we have some questions in the chat box. I'll read them out. We have from Grace Effiong. She says, how do we remain motivated? I get so tired at times, and it's so hard to keep reading. I take off days and feel so guilty about it.
Okay. One thing I would say, I'll start this question by giving a response that one of my law school lecturers said to me when I was in law school. She said, law school is spiritual. Law school is very spiritual. Man, generally, there's a spirit, soul, and body. Your body gets to do things not just because it's your body. That's not just the component of you that exists. So there's your spirit, there's your soul, there's your body. So let's say that your spirit is constantly in a place of motivation. Your spirit is high up, you have the spirit of Christ, your spirit is always motivated. Now, at the end of the day, it's not your spirit that will open the book and read, right? It's your body that would open that book and read. It's your body that would have that discussion. It's your body that would practice the draft. It's your eyes you would use to read the textbook. So one thing that happens is pay attention to what happens to help your spirit gain ascendancy over your mind. This is how I will explain it. So now, inside your spirit, you know that you are perfect. You are always motivated. But your mind has to be in tune with your spirit for your body to give way. Your mind has to be in tune with your spirit for your body to know what to do at all times. Because left for us, you might just want to sleep. You don't want to sleep today, tomorrow, before you know what's going on. By exams is the next day. But when your mind is in tune with what's going on in your spirit, you constantly say it. You constantly tell yourself, no, I have the mind of Christ. I cannot be tired. I am strengthened. I cannot break down. Is it that I didn't have days where I didn't feel motivated? I had such days. There were times that I sat in class and I was browsing flight tickets. This is me that said that, once I go to law school, I'm not going back home till I'm done. But first term, second term, I would sit and be browsing flight tickets because I just felt like going home. But one thing that kept me through was prayers. Like sometimes I'll just spend time praying. I'm like, Lord, please help me, strengthen me through this journey. Right now, I know that I don't feel like doing anything, but I need your strength to take over my body so that I'll do what I have to do. And in those times, I would find strength and excel. So tiredness is not normal. There is one of our mentorship series. Usually, let me just give an overview of what it looks like. There's a mentorship series for the direct mentees that is titled Victory. So we have a series called Victory. So in Victory series, you get to learn practically things that you need to overcome, like fear, tiredness, depression, different kind of things. So you would have practical wisdom on how to excel in all of these things. And one of the things I tell don't try to, you are tired, you're not feeling motivated, and you just try to maybe eat pizza or shawarma or go to the gym. It may not help you. You will attack it from inside out. You will see that tiredness as an attack, and you start praying. You are like, I can't be tired. I can't be weary. I can't be unmotivated. You pray till the strength to rise comes to you, and you are able to carry your body and move on what you have to do. So don't just treat it casually. Treat it spiritually. This is the advice, one of the advice that I got from a lecturer, herself. And then that I've seen really that when you take care of the right things, you'd really come out with great victory through life. I believe I've answered.
Okay, Ma. Yes. Hello, Grace. I hope you've gotten the answer to your question.
That question.
Hello. Okay, so we have another question from Adeneji Adesina. He says, please, how do you go about your externship? Like in terms of court and chamber attachments?
Please, can you take that
Grace?
again?
Okay, so we have a question from Adedeji Adesina. He says, please, how do you go about your externship? Like in terms of court and chamber attachments? That's his
Okay.
question.
All right. So asking how I went about it, I don't know which aspect. Is it in terms of choosing where to go for externship or what? Would you mind clarifying that question? Giving more details on what you would like to know about it.
Hello, Adedeji, are you here? Okay, he
Okay,
says
so
in
while we wait
terms
for
of
him to
and
verify.
all.
Oh, so I've already explained. I had an externship timetable. It was a 3-month plan that I prepared 2 months before the externship. So I brought out all the topics in law school and I divided them because I wanted to achieve my reading 2 times. So let's say the topics were 100. So that means I had 200 topics. So I divided them according to the number of days that I had. So roughly 200 divided by 90 should be about maybe 2, 3. So that meant I was reading sometimes two topics in a day, 3 topics. So I just followed through with that. And one of the things I did, my reading was not just, when I was in law school, I didn't essentially form notes, like form notes. So when I'm reading, it's not like I'm sitting down to form notes and write what I'm reading from notes. No, I would judge my reading based on how I'm able to answer questions. So I was more invested in answering questions a lot during externship. So when I said that, oh, this is a topic I want to read, I would go through my past questions and look out for those questions, those specific questions in the past questions, and those specific topics rather in the past questions, and I would answer it. So the timetable, I would say again and again, is the timetable that made the difference for me in during my externship. Do you understand? I'll take the next question.
Okay, ma. So the next question says, please, how much is the group? Okay, how much is the paid mentorship? And then I think someone has a similar question saying, please, the paid mentorship group, is it a daily tutorial teaching for the various topics? That's seeking
Okay.
clarity as to the
Okay, so
NLS.
I'll start from this part. The paid mentorship, is it daily tutorial teaching for various topics? No. So NLS Mindcheck mentorship is not an academic tutorial. And it's deliberately so because going through law school, I realized that, students go to class, it's expected that what you learn in class is enough to actually make you pass the bar exams. So why then do people fail? Why is it that people can still go for extra tutorials, but then they will fail? That's where I realized that there is an aspect of excelling in law school that might not have been spoken about, and that's paying attention to students' mindset. So NLS Mindcheck mentorship is not an academic tutorial. It is a mentorship that is aimed to help your mind, keep your mind in check for an optimum experience at the law school. So you would have I was talking about some of the topics. So you would have series like we have for the direct mentees now we have identity series, perception. These are the topics. So these are things that you learn: identity, perception, victory, study hacks and discipline, presentation of your answers. So those are like the 5 key areas that are being covered. They are largely things that would help you actually excel in the law school. It's more like it's where is the driving force. I'll put it that way. It's the driving force of your experience in the law school. It's not an academic tutorial. So I'm not coming to teach civil litigation, corporate law, professional ethics, property law, and criminal litigation. You might ask the question, so how does it make people pass? I mean, I might want to ask the over 39 people that had a first class what the mentorship actually did for them. But that's what it is. And I'll just answer the next one.
Okay,
Okay,
the next
sorry. Yeah, the next one said, how much is the paid mentorship? So there are two packages. We have the direct mentorship, that's the ones where you get to have sessions with me, and that's for 50,000 naira for the 20 weeks. And then we have the newsletter package, where you just get to receive emails every Friday for 20 weeks. So 50,000 for the direct mentorship, and it covers for the entire 20 weeks. That's 5 months. Okay, so I'll just take these last two questions. I've run out of time already, so I'll just take these two questions and then we call it a day.
All right, Ma. Okay, Ma. The next question says, what about someone that has problem in drafting? Like, I find it difficult to remember the draft even after redrafting them. And then
Okay, now I'll take this. So just keep drafting. Just keep drafting. If you feel it, if you don't remember it one, the solution is not to stop drafting. The solution is to ask yourself, why didn't I remember it? So what can I do that will help me remember it? And the only way you will remember is to keep drafting. So just keep a daily practice of drafting until you get it right. And then keep drafting until you never get it wrong. So when you draft the first time and you got it right, you were happy. You now drafted the second time and you now realize that, oh, you were wrong. Just keep at it. Draft until you get it right. Keep drafting until you never get authorities. They get you condemned and overwhelmed from the last time you didn't remember a draft. Just keep at it, and you realize that you make significant progress that way.
okay, Ma. Thank you
All
so
right.
much. So we have
The last question.
yes, the last question says, please, what of me that jots before I can actually say I can really remember something that I've read? Because all I've been doing is jotting every day.
Okay. So now there is nothing that you adopt as a lifestyle today that you didn't try out. You actually think that to understand something, to remember something, you have to jot everything that you are reading from the textbook. But that's not true. That's just a pattern you've been used to all along. Now, when I went to law school, you ask yourself the question, what are you actually, what do you want to achieve? What you want to achieve is a system that can make you say you understand your topic, you can answer your questions. And that can happen in various forms. Because one thing you have to realize is that time is very precious. One thing I told myself then was that if it would take me 5 hours to jot, I would rather read for 1 hour and read it again and again and again and again and again in those 5 hours. Instead of sitting down 5 hours to jot something that I have to task myself to remember again, I would rather read, answer questions, and set up a system that ensures that I continually remember things that I read. So you might just be telling yourself, blocking your mind from exploring other ways by saying, oh, this is what I'm used to, that before I can remember, I must jot. Have you actually walked around a different system to see that it didn't work? And if you don't try it, you can't even tell. So for me, then I realized, because I thought about it, I don't have time. Like with the kind of regimented schedule I talked about, I didn't have time to sit down and jot every time. I didn't actually have that time to sit down and jot. So I had to save time for myself. So I reserved my note making for class. Like when I go to class, I'll make notes. And then I now went through a system of what I would call note taking. I won't go into the details of all that. It's actually a series, one of the series in the direct mentorship. I usually teach my mentees the difference between making notes and taking notes, and how it is taking notes, and how taking notes is what would actually really help you excel strategically, not just making notes. So that's like one of like the inside information that I get to speak to my mentees about. But bottom line, don't just block out your mind from studying faster because you feel like you have to jot everything before you remember. You may not really have that luxury of time. So you have to make do with what you have in the most effective way and try out, build a system that makes you interact with courses more and also answer questions more than you are actually taking in. Because what will help you in law school is what you are giving out. What you are giving out can come in terms of the questions you are answering, the discussions you are having, and what you are able to express that you've read, not necessarily what you are taking in a lot. So build systems around what can make you dispense what you've taken in. I don't know if you really understand this, but I believe that this should help you. Okay, yes, the link to the Telegram channel I mentioned has just been sent. So you can get in there, subscribe to the channel, and feed on those different resources, audio resources. They would really, really, really help you. And you would really thank me at the end that you had this recommendation and guidance. So thank you very much, everyone. I will not take further questions now. I've shot through my scheduled time by 9 minutes, but I believe that this session was really impactful for you. Over to you, moderator, so you can close off the session.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, Mommy Grace Kalu, for the wonderful time, the mentor indeed. Please, I'd like to see our appreciations in the comments box. Just show what you've learned. You've learned something that is going to stick for as long as you leave law school, even beyond law school. I'd like you to drop what you've learned so far in the comment room. Just drop your appreciations, drop what you've learned. Let's know that our time here wasn't just not wasted, exactly, but we've learned something. We were not just here, but we followed and we understood. Please, I'd like to see your comments on the group chats. Okay, they're coming in. Okay, and this brings us to the end. Okay, so I've seen lessons here. What I've learned: draft until you get it right. Keep drafting until you can never get it wrong. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, ma'am. Grace, we are grateful. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, Mar. I really resonate with everything you have said. May God continue to bless you. Yes. Thank you so much, Miss Grace Kalu, for this time, for setting out time to give us this detailed information on how to demystify law school. Thank you for breaking it down and making law school look so beautiful, making the process look so beautiful and easy for us. And we hope that in few months we would have testimonies and we'd have reason to say, oh, at this session I learned this and this is the result. I hope you had a wonderful time, people. And this is me saying thank you for joining us and do have a wonderful law school experience. Bye. Bye, Bolale. Bye, Explicia. Bye, Uzezi. Bye, Luatosen. Bye, Mercy. Bye, Hannah.